I work in an office and used to work an overnight shift from midnight to 8 a.m. On my lunch breaks, I would often take a nap. I work on the 14th floor, but that late at night, there are very few people around, so I would go to the vacant second floor and catch a few Z's. It was completely silent down there, with the exception of the occasional outside street noise. Also, they turned the heat off during the winter, so it would be cold down there. I would use my coat as a blanket. Perfect napping temperature. The lights down there were motion sensor and would turn on by themselves as you walked down the hallway. There was a long hallway that went around the building that was used as a waiting area for a conference room. This waiting area had comfortable chairs that made a perfect little bed if you pushed the two together. I had a perfect spot behind a pillar. The only bad part about my spot was the lights there were wired backwards, meaning they were always on until you walked into that area and then they would turn off. I would just cover my eyes, but by the time the timer turned the lights back on, I was usually out anyway. So this night, at around 3:30 a.m., I pushed my chairs together and went to sleep. Almost instantly, something weird happened. I heard footsteps approaching the corner to the hall I was sleeping in. Along with footsteps, I heard keys jingling. I hear the footsteps get closer, and the keys get louder. Any minute now he would see me and stop, or keep walking. Either way, I would hear him pass and know I could relax. The problem was after he turned the corner, the footsteps and the keys continued, but they never got closer. It sounded as though he turned the corner and stopped and proceeded to march in place. I kept waiting for him to pass, but the sound stayed the same distance away. I didn't want to lift my head because honestly, I shouldn't have been down there sleeping and didn't want to get in trouble. The light was also still on. After a few minutes, I decided to see what the hell this guy was doing. Was he making noise to wake me up? Messing with me? I figured none of my supervisors would walk around with the keyring, so I probably wasn't in danger of getting in trouble. I tried to lift my head, and I couldn't move. I struggled to roll over as I was sleeping on my side and finally was able to force myself onto my back. I cannot move my arms or legs or speak or open my eyes beyond a slit small enough to see light. And that's when the lights turn off. The footsteps and keys, which hadn't stopped marching in place, began heading in my direction. I tried desperately to sit up or open my mouth or eyes, but I couldn't, and I felt a heavy weight on my chest. The keys were on top of me, and I could distinctly feel two large hands on my chest holding me down. It felt as if someone had climbed on top of me and was holding me down with all the weight on my chest. I start to panic. I try to yell, but I can't speak. I try to move my arms to get the key man off me, and my arms won't move. I'm completely hopeless. I can't even open my eyes to see what was on top of me. It felt like it went on for an eternity, but it was only probably a minute or so. Finally the weight lifted, and my eyes opened part way. There was nothing on top of me, or even around me. The footsteps had gone back around the corner, and the keys jingled off in the distance. I lifted my head, and to my horror, the chairs were no longer where I had pushed them. I always put them behind that pillar so people walking wouldn't see me, but now I was laying in the middle of the hall. The chairs pushed away from the pillar and window. The lights were still off, indicating that something had been moving recently. I started to hear a low droning sound in my ears, a low electric hum. I'm sweating like crazy. I grabbed my jacket to wipe my face, and when I pulled the jacket away from my face, I was back in my original spot. The sound was the lights overhead blazing away in the silence. No footsteps, no keys. I grabbed my things and went back upstairs. I don't believe in ghosts or the supernatural, or anything like that, and I've experienced sleep paralysis before as a side effect of medication. I'm pretty sure it was just a nightmare mixed with some form of sleep paralysis, but Jesus Christ, it felt so real and was horrifying. I later told a co-worker about what happened, and he said a worker who helped build this building had killed himself here during construction, and some people reported seeing the ghost of a construction worker in empty rooms and walking the halls. We both laughed about it. A ghost? Ha! Yeah, right. He said, "People are stupid, man. They said they've even heard keys jingling and everything. Morons."